women like us have always been compelled to gulp in. After the case in Arjikar happened, this fire just got lit. Ordinary women from absolutely ordinary households who have never participated in rallies or protests of any kind decided to come out and claim the night for themselves.
It is such an important time in West Bengal. Protests over rape and murder of a junior doctor at Arjikar Hospital are going on as we speak, and a big women's movement is underway.
It is unfortunate that I have not met a woman in my life who has not faced an incident of harassment. We can all relate to what has happened.
On one side, women were trying to capture the night. On the other side, women were very afraid that they could not even come out of their hostel rooms or their premises because they could be attacked.
I think this movement has somewhere given women, ordinary women, this platform to come out and say that your limits are outdated.
The media has made it about the TMC versus the BJP. What do you think about the politicization of this?
As doctors, what we can do is we cannot beat the people. What we can do is that we can put our pen down to show our protest.
Somewhere that in 2024, there are areas in West Bengal which do not even have street lights.
Like a shame for the government that we are asking for it in 2024 for basic needs like toilets and restrooms.
This movement is not about BJP, TMC or CPIM or AAP or Congress. It is not about winning the elections. It is about changing the system, which is basically rotten at this moment.
Hello and welcome to News Laundry Interviews. It is such an important time in West Bengal. Protests over rape and murder of a junior doctor at Arjikar Hospital are going on as we speak, and a big women's movement is underway. To talk about that, I have with me Rimjhim and Sneha. Both of them are at the forefront of this protest. Rimjhim is an independent researcher on women's issue, and Sneha is studying MBBS at a government hospital. Thank you, Rimjhim and Sneha, for joining us all the way from West Bengal. But before we start this, Sneha, I remember you were telling me a very important thing, that you come from a part of West Bengal, which is like Durgapur city, where you have not seen many protests. Like, in fact, you have never participated in any protest or any political rally or any movement, but this is the first time you are taking part in a movement. You're not just taking part, in fact, you are leading one with Rimjhim. What made you do that?
So I belong to a part where it's very peaceful. Even we are not aware on the day of elections that recently the Lok Sabha election has passed. So we were not at all aware of that it is happening right in front of house. It is so peaceful. There are no colors. There are no victory celebrated. Nothing is done. It's so peaceful. So rallies are very far away part. So, and where I study is 110 kilometers away from my house. So there it is. The hospital is the epicenter of the entire town. Everybody is connected to the medical college. There is just only one medical college in the entire city there, and perhaps the only college apart from another college in that entire. There is no other engineering or any other college over there. So that is like the epicenter. So there is always a concern with the people over there. Whatever happens, like any sort of mob attacks, or whatever happens, it always just gets centered to the hospital because everyone is sort of concerned with the hospital issues always, be it the common people, be it the media reporters, because there is nothing else that takes the coverage in that part. So it's always on the violent part. So from the initial days of my college life, I have experienced this. Some of my seniors facing this problem all the time, the mob attacks, the election parts, they have always been violent. It is always the opposite to what I have seen growing up in my hometown. And it's always a contrast because from my initial days, I have seen this violence happening on my seniors, my teachers. So it was always a very surprising thing to me.
Hmm.
It took me like 5 years to get adapted to this. But that was time I was a student. I was only doing my classes in the hospital, and we have a separate academic building. So I was not very much connected to my hospital at that time, except for my practical classes. And now when I'm returned to that hospital, so like we work 24 hours there. And interns have to face they are like the first line of defense always.
Hmm.
They have to always face that when the patient comes, all the admission, the discharge part, the death declaration, all of them are done by the interns. And we are the first intern batch there. So we are doing it from the front line. So now when I'm facing these things, for the past 4 months, I have already faced like five of the attacks in 4 months, five mob attacks.
Five mob attacks.
Yes, in last 4 months. And they are huge, like 80 to 90 people at a go come to the hospital. They destroy the hospital equipments. They break the doors. They beat uh, the medical staffs, including the nurses. They don't spare any, like, there they don't discriminate between males and females.
Hmm.
For attacking part, it is always equal.
Hmm.
Okay. Rest other part, it is always discrimination is there. So we
And what
have
led
we
to
just
these
find out.
violent attacks?
This like it has now become a trend in the whole of the, I don't know what happens outside India, but in India it's like always a trend now nowadays that whatever happens, wherever happens, attacking on the doctors, beating the doctors has become the first duty of the people.
Hmm.
Like, I have personally experienced a case recently, 1 month ago, where a patient died and the mob who attacked didn't even know the name of the patient. Like they were called by the family. I can tell it in like in quoted.
Hmm.
Uh, like तुम लोग को आना है यहाँ पर हॉस्पिटल में झमेला करना है और uh, मारना है डॉक्टर्स को and we need a mass for them. And they come from a very separate area. And the patient who was admitted belongs to a separate area, and the mob who attacked belonged to a separate area. When we asked the mob that which patient it was or what happened, do you even know what happened to the patient? How did she die? They're least bothered about it. They don't even know. Just they have that mentality that they got a call and they have to attack the doctors. They have to destroy the health equipments. They destroyed all our medicines, doors, beds, even they attacked on other patients also.
Oh.
So these are the things that I have faced like 5 times. And after that, we have made up our mind that we cannot be defensive. We have to learn to speak for ourselves for survival, because if we don't survive, how can we treat the patients?
Hmm. You were also telling me that the day you learned about this incident at Arjikar
Hmm.
hospital, and like the hospital where you are interning at is just like 200 kilometers away, and the moment you learned about it, it jolted you.
I don't know how many days before I got a proper sleep or a proper food. It entire completely changed my life, and I guess also my co-interns and my colleagues' life as well. Because that day I was also coincidentally posted on the same department, not in the same hospital,
Hmm.
but on the same department. And I was also on call doing my night duty. And interns, as I said, at the first line, they are always called first. And if they cannot handle the case, then the seniors are called.
Hmm.
So it's always like on a high rate. So I was also doing my duty at 1 a.m. and I was there alone in the ward with my patients. One nursing staff was there. She was having her night shift, but she was taking rest, obviously. At that moment, I was alone with my patients doing my duty. So I could relate it that only the institution name was different. Rest of the situation was very similar.
As Sneha has been saying that she has and her other co-interns have had sleepless nights for over a month since that incident has occurred. Is there any way this incident has also impacted you personally?
Yeah, so I was saying that absolutely it has impacted me. Since the Facebook post has gotten viral, a lot of people have started contacting me right from 12th August or 11th August night, if I can remember. And what I've understood is that there has always been this despair, this anger that ordinary women like us have always been compelled to gulp in. We've always been taught that this will happen. This is how the society is. This is how your country is. And you have to live with it. You have to compromise with it. Just as women are taught that things will be bad in your life, but that is the norm and you have to compromise with it. This time, after the case in Arjikar happened, this fire just got lit.
Right.
My post was probably just a small flare, but ordinary women from absolutely ordinary households who have never participated in rallies or protests of any kind decided to come out and claim the night for themselves. They decided to make the statement that the night is not reserved for one gender and every gender has the right to access it just the way they want to, without any judgment. So since the time people have started contacting me, I've understood that somewhere I am not alone when I'm thinking that there is victim blaming that is present. I am not alone when I'm thinking or I'm frightened that I may be harassed on the street. It is unfortunate that I have not met a woman in my life who has not faced an incident of harassment in their life, which is absolutely unfortunate. But I think that is also somewhere where we all connect in our mind. We can all relate to what has happened, and we can all relate to the factor that however the parliamentary system has functioned, it has not been able to provide us with the security and the safety that we deserve. Workplaces have been constructed, women are being employed in those workplaces, but those workplaces are made from the perspective of a man. These workplaces are not constructed from the perspective of women, right? So when the case of Arjikor came out, the first thing that came into the media was that the principal had given this kind of a statement. What was she doing in the seminar room at that time of the night? Other than actually understanding his accountability and the accountability of the authorities who are responsible for the safety of doctors who work at that specific institution. Even if I take that one institution as example, there was no accountability, there was no responsibility for the case that happened, but rather again, it was switched to victim blaming.
Right.
It was as always in every case, it is about the victim. What was she wearing? How was she looking? Was she drunk or not? At what time of the day she was outside? All of these questions are asked to survivors. And when the entire onus should be on the state, on the government, on the institution that is supposed to provide the people with the safety, right? So my post was that because this incident has happened in August, and 15th August is a day when we celebrate our Independence Day as Indians, I wanted to celebrate the night as a woman independently. I wanted to claim my independence as a woman on the night of independence when my country celebrates its independence from the British. So I wanted to celebrate my independence from the patriarchy. I do not adhere to the rape culture. I do not succumb to the patriarchy. And I wanted to prove a point. And somewhere I thought that there will be friends who would come out and, come in for the call and be there. And we all will make a statement that the night is not just for one gender. But I am overwhelmed that this has reached a lot of corners. And on 14th August, we really got to see 300 places and ordinary women coming out in West Bengal itself.
We want justice! 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 We want justice!
In 2019, we had given a call about a night march. After the Priyanka Reddy case happened in Hyderabad, that was also a very gruesome case. Around 60 to 70 people arrived at the same location that this time I was in, Jadavpur 8B bus stand. And we had a march where we reclaimed the night and we gave our slogans and we stayed all night at the Jadavpur 8B bus stand. We watched movies. We had people coming from the cultural part and showcasing their protest in their own way, through their own art. So I thought this time, since it's in Kolkata and it's a far gruesome incident, and this has literally shaken the people in Kolkata, at least in Bengal, at least, there would be some 200 to 250 people who might gather. But on the day itself, on in the location that I was present, there were at least 25,000 people present there. So the roads were jammed, and every person was there asking for justice as a mother, as a father, as a husband, as a brother, as a sister, as a friend. They were there only for justice, and they were the living proof that everybody has lost their trust on the parliamentary political parties. And that was a very, very big statement.
Sneha, were you also part of this Reclaim the Night movement from
Well,
the
actually,
beginning? You were also
yeah.
were you also present there?
Actually, what happened, we were also present, we were doing the same in the peripheral side. So we went for the rally, but there on the very same time, we got a news that 7,000 people, mob attacked the place of crime, place of crime, that is the Archipur Medical College. And the protesters were harassed, they were brutally beaten, and the police was doing absolutely nothing except watching the incident and uh, hiding in the nurses' rooms. Uh, so we got a call from Arjikor Hospital stating that this attack could happen in all the medical colleges. So we were made alert. We were made sure that so that we can ensure our safety. So we immediately returned back, and we were also uh, preparing for our self defenses. We're preparing like cricket bats and wickets. We're doing that so that if any mob attacks there. Actually, what Rimjhim was saying, on one side, uh, women were trying to capture the night. On other side, women were very afraid that they could not even come out of their hostel rooms or their premises because they could be attacked, and the police would do nothing to help them. So this was a very contrasting picture on that very night. So we also went out, but we could not do that because of this incident. Unfortunately, that did not happen with us because it turned out to be something different. They tried to uh, vandalize the scene and they tried to uh, erase all the evidences. So that was their main motive. So they did not attack the other hospitals, but we were afraid that they could do it. And as I said, mob attacks are very common.
It's quite telling that, of the reality of a country, where one side there were women out who were trying to reclaim the night, and then there were other side, like a mob attacked the people who wanted to come out and protest. Uh, Rimjhim, could you please also elaborate on, what was happening in that protest of Reclaim the Night for our audiences in Delhi?
Sure. In Kolkata, the kind of images that came in after the night, in the 15th August morning or evening, and the images that we were flooded with, the phone calls that we were flooded with, all of our friends who had called for the Reclaim the Night movement, people were coming from different classes. That is a very, very big point in this movement, I think, that needs to be acknowledged. I have gotten calls from women who live in very, very far away villages who were calling me to ask if they can actually stay out the night from 9 to 11 because they wouldn't have transport available to get back home after 11 o'clock. But they wanted to be a part of this movement. They did not want to let this go. They wanted to let their statement outside in the public that yes, we will reclaim the night just as we want to, and we will not go back just because we are women. There have been domestic workers from whom I've gotten messages who have said that we are also going there.
Okay.
We're also going to be a part of this movement. When they've not had the opportunity to access public transport after 11 or 12 o'clock in the night, they have still occupied the streets from 9 to 11. They've stayed there for 2 hours. So that's their statement. They have not backed out. So this is a very, very big achievement of this movement, which I think should be completely acknowledged.
Hmm.
And otherwise, I have seen pictures where women from hostels are literally breaking their collapsible gates to be a part of this movement. I think this movement has somewhere given women, ordinary women, this platform to come out and say that your limits are outdated in 2024. We do not abide by them. And it is not the time to acknowledge those limits, but acknowledge the kind of education, the kind of security, the kind of safety that we deserve to have in our life.
Like you said, like, there were not just women, but there, men as fathers had also come out.
There is a very big issue that needs to be addressed, that if we want the society to change, if we want the mentality of the society to change, we also need to have a conversation with men. If we even take this for granted that men have more patriarchal tendencies for the sake of an argument, if we do not have the communication with men, we don't get to tell them what is wrong. If we do not get to tell them what is wrong, they are never been able to identify that this is not something that women I know would prefer, would favor. So I think this conversation also needs to happen. I've seen many men who've come out on that night and even after that as fathers to their daughters, as brothers to their sisters, as friends to their female friends, as co-colleagues and whatnot.
I have a very simple question from you. You said that on that night there were 25,000 people, and especially women who had come from all sorts of socio-economic backgrounds, who had come together. And these kind of reclaim the
Right.
night protests have also been happening since, like, from last 1 month. How does it feel? How does it feel to, when there's so many women gathering and so many people gathering together, coming together?
I think it feels absolutely overwhelming. It feels uh, also very strengthening, because I think from one part of it, one perspective of it, where we've lost the trust on parliamentary political parties, there is also a very positive feeling where ordinary women and ordinary people coming out from households are also forming groups in their local areas, where they're taking this step to claim their rights, to also reclaim the night in their own way. They're making political statements, just how the farmers' revolt made a political statement where they did not want the participation of any parliamentary political party, just how the wrestlers' protest made a political statement, just how the Pinjatod Andolan made a political statement.
Sneha, I have a similar question from you. Like, on
Yeah.
one hand, where you are seeing so many people coming together and are able to do this kind of a protest, and now this protest, which is also taking a shape of a movement, sort of a people's movement. But at the same time, you and your friends and your, like, co-interns and other people from Ajikar hospital who just wanted to go out and protest, but they were not able to because there was a mob attack. And there are a lot of media reports which say that, like, a part of those mob attack were also TMC party workers. And
Yeah.
how was that for you? What kind of a
So,
conversations were
as
you all had with each one of you? Because I assume it is really tough, while you're interning and still you're coming out to protest.
that time they got the news of the students' movement, but a mob attacking, and they didn't have any news of it. So that was very much, that was the first time that we got to, got a clue that maybe the government is involved, maybe the police, the judiciary, and the legal system is involved. But yeah, that did not stop our protest. Rather, that made it stronger, because at that very moment, we came back from the streets, definitely, but we did not hide in our places. We rather opted for, like, if the mob come, we will attack. We will not stop there. We will go for complete cease work. We will, because as doctors, see, as doctors, what we can do is we cannot We cannot beat the people. We cannot. What we can do is that we can put our pen down
Hmm.
to show our protest, to show the government what power we have is only limited to our pens. We can put our pen down. So we decided that pen down from that day. And that was a movement that was carried out by the junior doctors till then. But the seniors also actively came out on that very night and they assured us that if that incident happens again or in all other colleges, the seniors will also pen down their work. So it was a positive approach from all of us that we did not stop, we did not fear the mob or the incident.
Hmm.
Rather, the protest went stronger.
Rimjhim and Sneha, I mean, I think it's really great, like, to see these kind of people's movement, and to be really thriving, and it takes a lot to for these kind of movements to actually emerge, and it's not like happens every day in India. So, but I want to ask you, what are your demands from these movements, like both of you?
As a doctor, we want our institutions to be completely safe workplace. That is the first and foremost demand of us. The first and foremost, obviously, is the justice that we need. But apart from that, ensuring the safety of not only the health institutions, but all other working institutions. See, this is something that all the classes of the society can relate to, be like the corporate sectors, be the doctors, be any other sectors. Because nowadays, majority of us are working, and the working place is our second home.
Hmm.
So if we don't feel safe maybe many of us spend more time at our working place than our homes.
Hmm.
So ensuring safety in our working place is the first and foremost demand. And we are very afraid of the fact that if this can happen in a government hospital, which is always very busy and crowded,
Hmm.
then this can happen in any place which is not so much crowded and maybe lonely
Hmm.
something. So that's our first thing.
Hmm.
Secondly, as a woman, what Rimjhim said, it is always the victims, the women are always the victims. They're pointed out. So I would like to add to that. Uh, After the incident that happened, we got a order from our health uh, institutions that night duties would not be done by the female doctors. And we strongly condemn to that point because, see, we have also uh, passed the examinations, did it equal to the male uh, colleagues. They
Right.
have did the same study, same amount of hard work. So why only limited to the day duties? Because if that is the case, then whenever we apply for any uh, future uh, any private institutions, they will definitely not choose a woman over a man because when they are giving the same salary, they won't choose someone who cannot do their night shift parts. So it is always a backlog for a woman only.
Right.
So that is also the demand that you have. If you cannot ensure safety, just state that. But you cannot again discriminate on the working hours when we are uh, there. We are wanting it to do. You cannot stop us from it.
Right. Instead of filling in the gaps, we are asking women to not just
Yeah,
come out.
yeah, yes. That is what we strongly condemn. So that is our second point. That there will be no discrimination in workplace safety. Staying in 2024, it is absurd that we are discriminating on work shifts. Third is proper restrooms, toilets. We have seen this is a very basic thing. It is like a shame for the government that we are asking for it in 2024 for basic needs like toilets and restrooms. Like for using the toilets, we had to go to our hostels from hospitals, and the path that we covered from hostels to hospitals were very much not very secure
Right.
at nights.
It's not well lit. It's very basic. I mean, to ask for changing
Yeah,
rooms, restrooms,
rooms.
washrooms, like just very
Yeah.
basic. Rimjim, according to you, what should be what are the demands and what should be the minimal criteria which should be implemented to ensure safety for women?
Right. So, borrowing this idea from Sneha, I would want to reiterate that the demands that are coming up from the various districts of West Bengal are also very basic. And I think it needs to be acknowledged somewhere that in 2024, there are areas in West Bengal which do not even have street lights, which do not have the equipped women police stations. Just after the 2012 Nirbhaya case, there was a Nirbhaya fund constructed. There was a Vishakha guideline constructed, and that Nirbhaya fund was constructed to build women police stations in various places. But the women police stations which have been built do not have the police officers equipped with sensitivity. I have seen these incidents by myself when I've visited a woman police station, and I've had to face rude behavior. So I don't think we can just create a woman police station with a fund to just make it on pen and paper that this is what we have done while we were in the government. So you have to, give us the credit that we have done something for the women. I think it's high time we demand for structural changes, like we are demanding in this movement for inclusion of gender as a compulsory course in school curriculums. Just like we read science, just like we study science in a different way when we're in class 5 and a different way when we're in class 12, gender should be included as a subject. There should be workshops which should be compulsory. And this cannot be only done by officials from the government. This should be in consultation with activists, with psychotherapists, with NGOs who have been working diligently in the field of gender. I think this needs to be, taken up in a much more inclusive lens, where we only also do not talk about one certain class.
Right.
The,
And
the
one
idea
particular
of
gender.
safety. Right. The idea of safety is related to a woman, is related to a person belonging or identifying with the queer community. It is belonging and identifying with a person identifying with the transgender community. So I think there should be safe public transport. This is also a demand that has come up from the movement. There should be safe resting rooms for people who are employed in the night duties. There should be workplaces that have creches. Workplaces that employ women should always have creches, and this applies to the organized and the unorganized sector. We have issues of no minimum wage calculation in the unorganized sector. We have domestic workers, we have female workers working in the tea gardens who do not have even the minimum wage requirements.
Right.
The idea of a woman while communicating minimum wage is 0.8 as a unit, while a male is calculated as 1 unit. I think these things are not in the public eye. The ICCs that have been formed after the Vishakha guidelines are absolutely partial. The institutions that have included it, firstly, not all institutions have included it, and secondly, the institutions that have included it are not functioning impartially. They do not have elected members. They only have nominated and selected members. While we talk about the unorganized sector, if we're talking about an incident that happens with a domestic worker, where is the exact body where she can go and complain and register a complaint other than the police?
According to the act, there was supposed to be district committees, district level committees, because like for the domestic workers. But I don't think even if we have one, I don't think a lot of domestic workers know about it.
Absolutely. There are supposed to be local complaint committees, but very few people know about them. Before this movement, there were a very few people amongst us, even among us friends, who knew about LCCs. So I think all of this knowledge, firstly, does not get communicated to the common mass, to the common people who are in this country. And these kind of structural demands are very, very important. It is very important to address this issue that this movement is not about BJP, TMC, or CPIM, or AAP, or Congress. It is not about winning the elections. It is about changing the system, which is basically rotten at this moment.
Right. Sneha, I also wanted, Rimjhim has brought up a very interesting point about the implementation of the ICCs, which is Internal Complaint Committee. You have also been interning at a government hospital. Have you ever been told about the ICC at your hospital?
So recently, I came across this Vishaka community. I came to know about this only when one of our uh, senior tried to bring other seniors from other departments to join the protest, and our institution tried to stop it, threatening him because he was a new PGP. So tried to threatening him, saying that there is a Vishaka community that exists, and the head of the institution shall be complaining against him in the Vishaka community. Only then we came to know about. So I think most
That's
of the times, yeah, because he tried to bring other colleagues into the process. Because it is always like internal threats are always given. Still now, still now, after 1 month, nearly 1 month have passed. Still now in the RGP hospitals, many PGTs and interns are not able to participate in the protest because they are threatened continuously, saying that the same incident would happen to their girlfriends or wives or sisters if they come into the. And this is not only limited to RGP hospitals, this is also done in the peripheries. And I would uh, be shameful to say that in many of the cases, the institutions, the authorities are directly involved in it.
hmm.
They are also trying to uh, they are also trying to stop us from doing the protest, threatening us with. So then we came to know that yeah, this Peshawar committee exists in our institution as well, which we were not aware of in like last 5 years.
Right. We also mentioned that, there's this BJP who's trying to hijack this movement, and there's no political party which cannot be blamed for supporting a rape culture, basically. And but you're saying that both of your movements is much, much bigger than that. But in Delhi, the media has made it about the TMC versus the BJP. What do you think about the politicization of this?
So, throughout the movement, if we see pictures and videos that are coming out in the media, on the social media, which the common people are posting, we'll see songs coming up from Arijit Singh, we're seeing songs coming up from Rabindranath Tagore, we'll see songs coming up from Nazrul Islam, and we'll see a lot of images where there are artworks, there are slogans, there are pictures, photographs which are coming in. This is the language of a colorful, sensitive, common people's movement. On the other hand, there are certain incidents in 2 to 3 places or 3 to 4 places where we see women getting harassed, where we see sensationalizing the entire issue by commenting, or there's hooliganism on women, and there is a constant remark of diverting the idea of this movement from the demand of structural changes to the demand of maybe resignation or to the demand of capital punishment. Both these things need to be addressed. If it's only about resignation, then I think there needs to be a resignation from a lot of ministers who are at this moment responsible, right? Because this rape has not stopped from 2012. There has been a lot of cases after 2012, and it's been 12 years until when common people have had the idea to come out on the streets and claim their rights,
Hmm.
right? So it is not about the resignation of one person. On the other hand, we have seen capital punishment being given as the form of justice to a lot of cases, but rapes have not stopped after that. We need to acknowledge that only by capital punishments or resignations, the rape culture cannot be addressed. It is not about BJP versus CPIM. It is not about AAP. It is not about Congress. It is about ordinary women coming from ordinary households. It is about queer community. It is about the transgender community, and it is also about the men who are taking a stand with their other participants of this movement. So it is about the ordinary households. It is about the ordinary common people.
But I want to ask this from both of you. Like, what is the harm in a political party also becoming a part of the movement? Because we have seen this with the wrestlers' protest in Delhi. Initially, during the protests, the wrestlers were saying that, we don't want any political support. We are not going to stage any political party. But after a certain period of time, they let the political parties also join them, because it actually helps reach more people. It actually speeds up their, it strengthens the movement. Maybe they realize it later. So, but then that's the question from both of you, that, like, initially we have seen this with a lot of protests where, the protesters believe that they don't want to stage any political party. What's the harm?
One thing I can say about this is that when a political party joins any such movement, the I think somewhere the main demands gets diverted, the entire motive of the movement gets diverted, because at the end of the day, it's always their own propaganda, selling their own propaganda. And somewhere religion comes into the point, because that is the main issue where divide and rule policy can be played. Because I have seen this in front of my eyes, where we were invited from a common platform to join their protest. And after that, we got to know that it was a political movement. And the speech that was given by a BJP supporter on the platform, he started the speech like this, that this happened because of the Muslims. So he started like this. And we are never, our motive of the movement is never about Muslims or Hindu or any other cultural thing. So the movement is always beyond this, always bigger than this. It is about all the women, irrespective of any uh, religion, class, community. So I think somewhere this gets diverted and the propagandas come into play and the movements and the main voices are not heard. The voices of the protesters are subsided. So we are not allowing this to happen. This.
I just wanted to add one quick thing, that we need to understand this movement has a lot of potential, and we have almost taken 12 years since 2012, if we take that as a benchmark, to come out on the streets and claim again. In 2012 Nirbhaya case, we actually saw people coming in the entire country and claiming a change to the system. And again in 2024, we're seeing the same thing. I think we should understand that it's high time we pass the mic, and we don't only talk about women who live in the cities. We have to address the demands coming from women in the outskirts of the cities and also in the villages. It is time that we think of it from an intersectional angle. It is time that we acknowledge all the demands and we make it as fruitful as possible. It is time that we organize ourselves in localities and in cities and prove it to the government that this is the power which common people have.
Right. I think that's very well put together, and I hope that, this movement spreads across the country. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Rimjhim and Sneha, and all the best for your movement.